Hello, welcome back. Episode 10, DQ Debrief. So excited to interview my guest this week, who is a high school student.
Hello! Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to meet you and talk to you and just hear your story.
Thank you. So, where should I start, from the beginning? Is that what you'd like?
Yeah, okay, so let me just do a quick introduction real quick before we get started. So I know folks that tune in weekly, you know that this is what the show is about. I showcase folks that come on. I've had such powerful comments wow, that was such a really good interview and I really resonated with that. And so you're my second high school student.
And that's so exciting.
Yes, and I truly believe teachers and parents need to hear from the kids too.
Definitely.
You guys have a voice. You guys are the ones that are in class wondering why the teacher's going so fast, why they're not chunking information, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say before you get started, we're following each other on TikTok and I love all your TikToks and all that good stuff.
Thank you. I love your posts as well. They're fantastic.
Thank you. So Jacquelyn, why don't you start? The beginning is great. When you were diagnosed, I know you have dyscalculia and dyslexia, and I definitely want to squeeze in as much as we can in 30 minutes.
Okay. So if I am looking down, it's because I have some notes, so just so you know.
Perfect.
So I was diagnosed with dyslexia at age 9 and dyscalculia when I was 14 years old. But let me backtrack a little bit to first grade and then all the way up to now. So in first grade, I was throwing fits in my classes a lot. I turned in papers blank or uncompleted. And I was sent to the office numerous times as well, probably for my behavior. And the school did test me, and I think it was for either a behavioral problem or for a learning disability. And all they said to me was, "You're fine, and you have anxiety." That was true. I had anxiety, but clearly that's not all that was happening.
Right.
And there was major signs like spelling, reading, writing. Let's see, and numbers. Those all confusing for me, and it showed. They're anxiety. You have anxiety. No, that's not true.
Right. And then the root cause. That's not the root cause.
Exactly. Second grade, I was put into RTI intervention, which that's reading intervention, and it was supposed to last 6 weeks, but mine lasted 2 years. Again, major red flag, hello, something's up. Maybe we should discuss with the parents. That didn't happen either. So third grade comes along, and at that point I am 9, and my parents are something's not adding up here. So we do outside testing with a neuropsychologist, and they did confirm I have dyslexia. And at that point my parents are I think she might have dyslexia, so let's see. And they were right. So it's clear my parents have been major advocates ever since I was younger. They still are. And it's just crazy, it's my parents who picked up on these things and not the school. It's wild, and I know this does not just happen to me. So many people go through this, and I'm just one of them. So then we go to 3rd through 5th grade, and I had lots of reading support, and I had outside tutoring as well. So at one point, I was put into Spire program. I'm not really sure if you are. Yeah, you're familiar? Okay. So my tutoring did that, and the school did that. And then out of nowhere, the school's okay, we're switching Jacquelyn to Wilson. And my tutoring at that point was still doing Spire. Now, what ended up happening was I never finished either of those programs.
Okay.
I'm not sure why, but it never happened. And then 6th through 8th grade, I was put into a class that didn't suit my needs because it was not evidence-based. Okay. And my neuropsychologist said, you need to put Jacquelyn in evidence-based reading or curriculum, and that never happened. They just dismissed that. Again, why? There's a problem here, and there's something to solve it, but they just dismissed it. Then we go through 9th grade, and I'm put into a Linda Mood Bell program and intensive tutoring during the summertime. I had 3 hours every single day, Monday through Friday, of tutoring. It added up to 170 hours of tutoring between April and August.
Wait, this is your summer vacation?
Summer vacation, yes. Every single day.
How did that okay, finish telling your story, because I have all these questions.
That's okay. So at that point, I was also diagnosed with dyscalculia when I was in 9th grade. I think it was just going in for reevaluation. They're like, hello, she has dyscalculia.
Right.
And actually, I'm going to confess something. I totally thought that I did have dyscalculia. I did lots and lots of research, and I'm like, things are adding up, and it seems like all these signs are pointing to dyscalculia.
Right.
So I go in, and they come out with my diagnosis. I'm like, oh my goodness. And a huge weight was lifted because I finally understood all my life. I struggled in math, and now there's like a puzzle that's, you know, has the missing pieces filled in. So that's all right now that I'll say, and you can totally jump in.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for, like, I love the structure. Like, I love how you kind of have this little summary, and my, like, teacher wheels are spinning right now. So first things first, do you have an IEP?
I did.
Okay.
And then, so that's the other part. I was found ineligible for special education my second semester of 9th grade, and they put me on a 504 plan. Okay. And my heart shattered when that happened, because I was like, this huge part of my life is being taken away, and I don't have the answers as to why, and my voice is not being heard saying I'm struggling and I need this, and they're just dismissing it time after time. And it was just hurt me a lot, and still does.
You put out a TikTok about that, didn't you?
Yeah,
I remember that. I remember, like, seeing the kind of like the pain that you were experiencing, and I was thinking, so like, yeah. So okay, so let's backtrack here. So those of you who don't know, Jacquelyn's in Maine. Yeah. I'm not off the top of my head familiar with the dyslexia laws. Are there dyslexia laws?
I think there's some. I'm not really familiar with them myself, but I believe there's a couple of them.
Okay, I'm gonna, when I hop off this call, I really wanna, like, look, because I've done research in all 50 states, so I know, I think as of now, there are like 3 states that don't acknowledge dyslexia. Vermont is one of them.
Yeah, so I don't think Maine is. I know for a while, it still could be to this day that they say specific learning disability, and that really infuriates me, because, like, that's not specific. Say it what it is. And I'm about to post a TikTok on that too. Like, call it what it is, say it what it is, because I have dyslexia. It should not be called a specific learning disability.
Right. So, but you know what though? So this is the thing I always tell parents when they're frustrated, you know, with their kids, like, how can my kid get what they need if we're not calling it what it is? And honestly, from my vantage point of sitting in many IEP meetings and parents, like, infuriated because they don't know that their kid has dyslexia, they know, like, my kid's not getting the accommodations and support. So, like, what's happening here? And it really boils down to money. Once you, like, say
completely,
once you say that this child has dyslexia, or let's just say 20% of this class has dyslexia, then you have to train the teachers. Then the teachers, like, have to have the right, you know, interventions to know what to do. Yeah. And it's just a domino effect that to me is heartbreaking, which is why
it really is.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only one going through this. There's so many other people, and it just hurts me. Like, I think about it all the time, and my heart sinks. It's really, really sad. Yeah.
So let's delve into, okay, so I want to clarify. So how old were you when you did get your IEP?
I don't remember. I was younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were elementary school.
Yeah. It could have been even before that, but so I had it for a really, really, really long time, and then out of nowhere they're like, she's ineligible.
Well, it's probably because every 3 years, at least in the state of Maryland, you have to be tested.
Too.
Yep, yeah, you have to be tested. I've actually been, because I used to co-teach 8th grade, and when the kids would transition to 9th grade, there were some like issues that would come up where we would actually recommend for the kids not to be tested that year, because we knew if they were tested, they would lose all their services. And so we would coach the parents to say, well, when you go to high school, you know, you can push for the evaluation because then it'll be past the 3-year mark. I mean, I think there are ways to finagle around that. Totally. But I mean, at the same time, if you know, like, obviously the goal is you don't want kids to be in special ed forever. Yes. But if your needs are not being accommodated, if you're not getting the right accommodations and the right supports that are put in place, why would we take away this legal document that you're saying is, like, heartbreaking? And it is. And it's
The other like major part of that is I've been told so many times, like, because of my good grades, I clearly don't have a learning disability. And just like, what? That just does not make sense. It will forever not make sense with my brain, because it's almost like, oh, if you have a learning disability, you need to have F's on your report card. No, you don't. And I told the school, like, I have these good grades because I study so much longer for hours and hours, whereas these people who I go to school with don't do that. Like, they can probably do it within an hour. I might take 3 hours.
Right.
So it's just crazy.
So how did your parents respond when your IEP was taken away?
Infuriated. We as a family are totally not impressed with like the school systems. It's just time after time I keep being like failed by them. That's what I like to say. And I even wrote like a magazine article in Distinct Magazine. It's an online learning disability magazine.
Oh, cool.
I explained like, yeah, of course, I can send it over. I explained like how the school system is just not really appropriately educated on how to deal with kids with learning disabilities. But I can send it over and you can like read it and it might make a little bit more sense.
I would love that. And I think it's really important for other kids that are following my account to read that and hear that too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to switch gears and talk a little bit more about your dyscalculia. So
yes,
I know from my experience being a special educator and co-teaching 8th grade math, there are so many kids out there who have math anxiety, who have dyscalculia, who just like struggle in general with understanding math facts. Like, now that you have this diagnosis, what supports are put in place, and do you feel like you're successful now?
I don't have a lot of supports yet. I'm trying to get there.
Right.
And it's what was the other part of your question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just throwing out.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
So no, I was saying that like, well, I guess you kind of answered it in general. Like, this is a new diagnosis, so you're still navigating what this looks like for you. How can I ask this? How are you feeling successful in math? Like, what math are you taking? Like, do you have a tutor? Like, what?
So I will be getting some support soon. Definitely, probably outside of the school. Maybe some placed in the school. But as of right now, I have none. And math class. So here's the thing. This year, all my math homework gets done in school, which is amazing. But if I didn't have that, then I'd be struggling way more than I am.
Okay.
And I'm also doing driver's ed, so that's a huge struggle for me right now because, you know, you just don't understand how much your learning disabilities will affect certain areas of your life. And I did not think driving would be such a major one for me, but it definitely is. Like, I'm terrified to drive, and a lot of people just don't understand it really because they aren't me and they don't feel my emotions that I'm feeling. But there's so many different elements that correspond with my learning disability, like speed and angles, all that tie into that. So I'm just trying to figure it out. But to answer your question about like, do I feel successful? It's like in certain areas, yes. In other areas, no. Like, another thing that I recently like just didn't really realize is like how much I'm way behind in math. So I could be like at like a 3rd grade math level right now. Like, I'm not even joking, because I can't even do like simple math facts. And I'm 15, and all these other people around me are like, oh, what's 107 plus 83? It's this. And I'm like, how did they do that?
Right.
So there's a lot of things that I just see day to day that just like are, oh yeah, like because of my dyscalculia, I could never do something like that.
So you touched on a lot of things I want to delve into. So the driving doesn't surprise me. And I think some folks who are listening to this live and later, they're probably like, wait, driving what? I actually did an interview with a colleague who has dyscalculia and dyslexia, and I think that was the first time he brought up driving and I didn't even like think about that. But then I'm thinking you need to know your right and your left, and like you said, the speedometer, the speed limit, you know, like all the signs that you have to pick up. And then if you're highway driving, you need to have like the anticipation to know when to merge. I mean, there's
I'm so nervous.
Yes, there's so much that's involved.
And definitely like multi-step for me can be really hard. So driving is all multi-step. So that's
you have to think ahead. Yeah.
You do. For sure.
So have you actually been behind the wheel, or you're
I have not. I'm
Okay.
doing the online lecture and I'm doing the online course by myself, but it's just really clear, oh my goodness, I'm nervous. And there's a lot like just learning and listening that I'm gonna need to know and retain, and I bet it will become, I know that I can drive and I will be able to drive. It's just going to take me a lot longer to complete some of the tasks today, which I understand, and I'm not mad about the fact. It's just like what's gonna happen for me. So I understand it completely though.
Yeah, no, and I feel like you are a very mature 15-year-old where I don't.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just. I feel like I'm talking to an adult. You know, like
Thanks.
you are sharing nuggets of information that I really truly feel it's impactful. And with dyscalculia, so many folks don't realize that. And so in my research, I found out there are 9 different types. I don't know if you're aware of that.
No, definitely not. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to share your research with me at some point. But that's crazy.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember all of the names off the top of my head, but when I was looking at them, because I created a resource manual, actually, it's in my Teachers Pay Teacher store too.
Okay.
And I think it's also in my app, my Think Dyslexia app too.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, and so it actually talks about some of the things that you discussed, you know, the math facts, or there's a type of dyscalculia where it's verbal, so a student can hear it, but then if you ask them to write it down, they struggle with like, what was that equation again?
Yeah.
And then there's another one where they can write it down, but if you're saying it, it doesn't compute. So there's so many different.
That's
so many different components to that. And then when you add in dyslexia with that language piece, I mean, first of all, math is its own language to begin with.
Yes.
I mean, when you think about multiplication and division, like I was actually explaining this to my co-teacher, who math was always his thing. And when we started co-teaching, he was really frustrated with why some of these kids like didn't know their multiplication facts when we were doing 5, 6, 7 step equations. And then I'm like, you have to realize there's so many different ways to show multiplication. You can distribute it. There are parentheses, there's the X, there's the little dot, you know, so many different ways, and kids have to know what that language is to know what they're looking for. And then when you put in word problems, that's just like game over.
I do not like word problems, and no one ever asked me to do a word problem, please. Like, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
It's crazy.
So I think it's so important, as I said, for us to really hear as educators and teachers to understand, like, what is it that you're going through when a teacher is sitting there saying, like, because I'm sure you've heard this, but I hate when teachers are like, well, this isn't 9th grade work.
Exactly.
Or this isn't 10th grade work. And it's like, but what about you as an individual? Do you actually know what you've been through to get, like you said, it takes me 3 hours longer than my peers. You know, do they really understand how your brain works? Do they understand what accommodations you might need for that 5, 6, 7 step problem? Where, you know, bottom line is I always communicate this to educators when I'm coaching them, like, what's the objective? You know, is the objective for you to know your times tables and then know how to distribute this and then know how to plot it on a graph and then find the answer? Or is the objective for you to get the answer? You know, so like let's give you the calculator. Let's give you the formula sheet. And then if you still can't use those and get the answer, then you don't understand the problem. And obviously there are other things we can do to support you with that. But I just feel, you know, some educators are throwing so many different secret hidden agendas at kids.
Totally.
When it's not fair, you know, they're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, my parents always ask me, like, did ask in IEP meetings, like, what is the objective, like you said, and a lot of the times they'll just give, like, answers that totally it just wasn't correct. Whatever they said, I was like, I don't know what you mean by that, but that's not right. And was going to touch on my TikTok account for a quick moment.
Yeah, go ahead.
So to anyone out there who has dyslexia or dyscalculia or other learning disabilities or want to know about them, I have a TikTok account where I spread awareness to them. It is Jacquelyn_Elise, and I'll spell that out, JACQUELYN_ELYSE. And I give like lots of advice, tips, tricks, relatable content. And so I was just gonna say that, and I started that in the first place, I think a couple months after my dyscalculia diagnosis, because I was like at a really low point, and I just wanted people to, I wanted to be able to relate to people. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, we're relatable. Totally get it.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure like no one is alone, and that anyone who stumbles upon my account or has been a follower for a long time, like you're not alone. You're never going to be alone, and there's a lot of people here to showcase you're not alone. And so that's really why I started it, and to just spread awareness and acceptance and empowerment, because we all deserve that. And I think when I was like littler, I definitely needed a role model like myself now, and I still need like a role model. So that's another reason and another little part. But that's all I'll say about it for right now.
I love that. You know, I don't know if you saw the interviews I did with Patrick Considine.
I think I did, yes.
Yeah, I think he's your age too, and you guys are just like, you guys should be like this force to be reckoned with. Like, you guys are just advocates. I know that he mentioned he would go to his IEP meetings and he would like hold the teachers accountable, and I was like,
oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I've spoken up a lot about like how things are not right, and I'll probably continue to do so.
You should.
Actually, not probably, I will.
You should. You absolutely should. And I'm so excited, Jacquelyn, that we had this interview, and I want everyone out there to know too that so the Think Dyslexia app can be downloaded on the Google Play or App Store. There's tons of free content. So I upload all of these videos on the Think Dyslexia app. There's interviews that I've done that are pulled from my YouTube channel. And then I also have, I actually just put out a new product, and this is more geared for teachers and moms who really want to know how to like support their kids with multisensory writing,
I love
grammar. Yeah, I should actually do one for math too, now that I'm thinking about it. I just have to wrap my head around like what would I be doing tutorials on. Maybe you can give me some feedback in DMs about what would be helpful.
Definitely.
So yeah, definitely to the moms and teachers out there who are listening, definitely check out that new product. I just it's like accessible today, and I also have coaching programs for moms as well. So
amazing. I love to hear that.
Yes.
Go check them out.
Definitely check out Jacquelyn's TikTok if you are not on TikTok. It's great content, and I love how you said that you're not alone, because you're not.
Yeah.
You know, that's the purpose of the show too, is to spotlight everyone. So
yes.
Thank you so much, Jacquelyn, for taking some time on your Saturday and sharing your story.
Yes. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. And everyone, thank you for joining, and share this video with others later, and just keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.